All right, it's the CARESNONE Be Dope podcast. I am your host, Chris CARESNONE, and I'm with my co-host, Derek Fisher. What's up, baby?
How you doing, brother?
I'm phenomenal.
Sensational.
I'm in a good mood, man. I'm in a very good mood.
Talk about it.
Because wait. First of all, Tom,
How you gonna skip past?
How you doing,
You're gonna
Tom?
skip past.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, but I'm excited for what's coming up. So I'm gonna let you take it. Don't let me.
Well, first of all, and this is real talk, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. I love your face, man. You got a good face.
Mm-hmm.
It's Hollywood.
You got a face made for radio, man. It looks
Hollywood.
ridiculous.
Thank you.
That's
Maybe for video podcast.
yeah, I missed you, man. What was it?
I missed you.
2-3 weeks now?
That's been a little while.
Couple weeks.
But we got stuff to catch up on.
Yeah, we do.
we do. Let me scoot up a little.
Before we get started, guess what, Derek?
What's up?
Guess what, Tom?
What's up, baby?
We have an official sponsorship.
Yes, we do.
The very first one.
Oh shit!
Yeah. We need to get like a soundboard, man.
I have it. I can do it. We just have to spend some time.
All right, we'll do that.
We'll get some time.
Yeah, but so we have an official sponsor, and actually, I want Derek to kind of go into this because.
Right. So this sponsor is National Insurance and Tax Service. This is a sponsor that I've actually have a personal relationship with. This is my mother, Vivian Durham. She runs this business, and she started this back in 2006. She has her own tax agency, and what she does is she works with you to during tax season when you don't know what to do as far as a lot of times we have trouble. Figuring out the tax situation, turbo taxes and things like that. But she's the one to help you really understand things that you might be even missing from your tax situation. So she's just somebody that I've always trusted, and everyone around me has always trusted as far as giving accounting information, tax information, especially going into the business situation. This is somebody that I've seen come from managing her own insurance agency, managing another insurance agency for 5 to 10 years, I think it was, and then moving on to her own agency, National Insurance and Tax Service. And I designed the logo actually when I was 15 years old.
Hey,
Bonus.
Damn.
I was laying down, Derek, what do you think? Put the eye like this, do this other shit, okay? So this is an agency that we use, Chris and I actually use together, and a lot of my cohorts actually use too. So
let me put my 2 cents in. Because this actually means a lot to me personally. Right. So for years, you had already had a business. Mm-hmm. You had already been official LLC for years. And for years, you would always be like, yeah, I got $5,000 back from the taxes. You got a lot of money back. Right. For years, you had kept saying that, 5 here, grants, all kind of things.
As a single guy.
Right. And I'm like, damn, so that would help. Extra 5, something, whatever the number is that could help is better than not having that. So then let me tell you a personal story. I'm about to get vulnerable for a second, which actually leads into our episode. I kind of bullshitted my taxes for like 8 years or some shit, maybe like 6 years. I'll tell you what happened. What happened was I was doing good, and then I started working at White Chocolate, and according to what she told me, what happened is I filled out something wrong, and they were not taking money out or something. So it was the first time I had started making decent money. White Chocolate was okay, especially if you were working at both. We were doing good, and then I owed money for the first time, and I wasn't prepared for that.
Okay.
Right, because I'm like, oh shit, because I've been getting two grand every year since I was in high school, and all of a sudden now I owe $2,000, and I'm like, and I just prepared for it, money game wasn't right, so I'm like, well, they can't get it, I don't got it,
right.
And then it just I neglected it for years, and just finally said, fuck it, I ain't doing it no more, on some, and then it got to the point where I'm like, damn, I know this is, it's kind of every year if this is happening, I know it's just building up. I knew this in the back of my head, and I'm like, So what happened was I started CARESNONE, and I'm thinking, I need to get, if I'm going to have this business that I need to, trying to get you, it would behoove me to get right with the government.
Right.
If you have a business.
Get your shit together.
So this is actually cool as far as the transform and the CARESNONE, the whole brand actually goes into that. And I remember hitting your mom, and I was kind of scared at first to hit your mom up because I was thinking like, I don't want her to be judging me, and you're a fucking idiot for not taking care of your taxes. And that for years I stayed away from that because I knew, and what it was is that's how I felt about myself. Right. But then the realization was, it's a business. Her job ain't to make you feel like shit. I don't know why I thought that. I think it's because I was worried about my own thoughts of myself, but I tried to project them on other people. And when I went to her, she was like, okay, we got a little work, but let's get it fixed.
That's her job.
So the cool thing about going to her specifically, and I can tell you this specifically, is she makes you feel like, and because it was true, and I can attest to this, like, oh, okay, whatever it is, we can fix it. It's like, it's not the end of the world. Like, no, we do this, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm telling you, we sat down and she got me right. She got me right. And now, and this is the first year she got me back, and she didn't give it to me. I paid her for this service and it's worth it. But then she knew all the tax stuff. And now I had like $5,000 back this year.
Right.
That took off of a lot of money that I had owed.
Exactly.
And had I not known her, and this is real talk, and had I not known her, I would still owe a lot of that money. Yeah. And it was all legal, ain't no bullshit. Like, she just knows how to do it. So personally, I personally put my stamp of approval on this. I wouldn't put any sponsorship on this podcast if I didn't truly believe in it.
Right.
I'm not gonna ever do that ever. I want to know what the product is before y'all don't give a fuck how much they give me. I'm not gonna just flip it because I give a fuck about this whole thing.
Exactly.
So I go ahead and y'all can use CARESNONE promo code for 25% off. Right?
Love it.
25% off.
25% off. But yeah, taxes. I wish I would have got that deal.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. So that's where we at, right? So that's the I hope we did a good job on that sponsorship.
National Insurance
and it's real,
Service.
and it's Derek's mom, y'all.
Yeah, come on now.
If y'all been watching and listening, I know y'all trust Derek.
Honestly, anything that I say financially, like, she started it. So
yes. Oh, hey, that's another point. So I can tell you firsthand that Derek is extremely financially literate.
Sound.
Right, sound. Right, and I know a lot of people are not. Especially in the culture. You know what I'm saying? So where do you think he got that from?
He get it from his mom.
His mom put him on, and I actually hit her up one day. And Vivian, wasn't like, hey, I want to let you know you did a phenomenal job with Derek because, and now because I'm in his, and he's in my personal circle, that has just kind of upped my energy to get my shit right. Because he's sitting, showing me his numbers. I'm like, damn, I'm a few years older than this guy. Like, how come, I don't got $30,000 in available credit, whatever the number is. I'm like, I got to get my act together.
Right.
And because you knew this and you had the wherewithal to care about it, that's another thing too, just caring. I did not care about taxes. I didn't understand the significance, the importance. I think we might have talked about this before, but have you always, Tom, known about the importance of taxes?
About like paying them or what?
Yeah, or just like don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Like who taught? Did your parents know, or did you kind of just know that?
I'm sure they did, but I don't know. Same thing with I think we talked about credit cards and stuff.
That was so it's kind
where it's just like credit, and I just I've always just do things. I don't want to say by the book, but especially with credit cards, just don't put stuff on the card that you can't really afford and such. But taxes, I've been paying my own taxes because I've been self-employed for so many years. And it always kind of sucks, but as we were talking on the way up here, it's part of life. And the more you pay, the more you feel like, oh damn, I'm achieving stuff, and I'm getting a little fucked for it. But it's good. But yeah, I've never, knock on wood, I've never been in a bad position. I'm also really good about saving. So I haven't ever gotten a kickback in years. I only just pay, but that's fine. That is what it is. There's a lot of write-offs for business owners and stuff, so it's good. Right. But I've never been in a bad situation. I'm always really good about pocketing a whole bunch, and there are quarters that I pay, a pretty substantial bill every quarter. And yeah, I'm prepared for it. But I don't know if my parents really put that in. I just knew I don't want these problems.
Let me ask you this: what is your feeling on? What tips can you personally give for saving?
Oh gosh, you see, I couldn't do that because I'm not the best with. I'm good about saving just because I know it's honestly somewhat is to the taxes. So I start looking at money in my bank account and I'm like, that's not my money. And you kind of have to. So
it's almost
be
a discipline.
Yeah,
because you'll see money and it's like, oh, I need to buy a new camera and it's there, but it's like
I know, but it's always kind of fake. I don't know. I always view it as I don't know exactly how much of this is real and how much isn't. And I kind of like that, I guess. So I've been good recently, especially just about pocketing a whole bunch and just trying to increase that buffer. But
yeah, do you know when it's you just mentally know when to hoard? When to put that when to use that money and when to make it I don't know if it's really available.
So yeah, like I guess when it comes to like using the money, like for a while, aside from like surviving, I didn't. There weren't like tons of uses for the money. Like if there's an equipment thing that I need or whatever, like I get it. I don't really think about it. But I live a pretty reasonable life in the sense that like I'm never at a point where I'm like, well, I wasn't expecting this, or like this got
So
out
in other
of
words,
hand
what you're saying, you're not living past your means.
Nah, of course not. No.
Do you definitely live below them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
that's a big one.
I'm trying to think of like what's the textboop definition of that, but yeah, like I'm good. Like I don't freak out about like a credit card bill. I don't pretty much ever let that shit roll over.
It's probably easy to do that is because you're not buying dumb shit, and the things you do buy are typically, feels like from what I can tell, are assets, not necessarily liabilities. Necessarily.
That's a good observation. I mean, yes and no, though, right? So like,
I'm looking at all these equipment in this place. This is all assets.
But these are one-time purchases, though.
Well, and you also get like this place, this room we're in. I don't own this. I rent this, and so that's a liability every month. I don't have a car note anymore. I wish I want to get a new car. To be honest, I've been dying to get a new car.
Are you going to put it in your business name?
Of course. And so like,
is it going to be over 6,000 pounds? I learned that today, actually.
I'm going back and forth on it, but yeah, it
has to be over 6,000 pounds, right?
Well, no, you get less. You get less if it's under. So if you want to get the most, yeah, you got to be over 6,000 pounds. But you can write off. You could write off your vehicle. Actually, I think you have to be into something new or new to you. But you can section 179 for anything that's
right. I was
under 6,000 pounds. You just get your write off capped.
Well, I know, like for me, with like the gas, was it 57 cents a mile? And all you can write off all the expenses that has to do with that car if it's through your business, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, and actually, I think that doing that was a big part of, because I drove a lot of miles for CARESNONE. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but here's another thing too. So I told you I do DoorDash as well for extra money, but those are two different things. So actually, I had to show your mom was like telling me I had to do 3 tax returns. 1 for personal, 2 for the ride sharing, and then 3 for CARESNONE.
Right.
So she was teaching me how, like,
and
I would not even known that had
that is a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, super complicated.
But it's dope to even understand that somebody can tell you that to break their business down in a way that makes sense for tax preparation.
Because I would have never known that.
Because otherwise your business is gonna be all fucked up and your taxes gonna be all over the place. So I'm glad that that's the biggest value that National gives to me. It's like, the shit that you don't think about your business, she just puts it in a funnel for you for tax preparation so that you're good on that side. You will never be fucked on that side of it, especially as a small business. You know what I mean? Starting out like that. So
speaking of funnels, no, I'm serious. I'm
that's why I loved it too.
So I'm finishing up on this book called .com Secrets, like the secrets to sales funnels. By this dude named Richard Brunson, I believe. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, he's the guy that did, I think ClickFunnels is his website. So, no wonder he's writing books about funnels, but he's been really successful.
But some of the shit that I've read so far, or I did an audio book, and I'm like for instance, here's one of the big things I've gotten from this book so far, and it was actually some huge game, is to stop looking at your business as the hero and look at the customer as the hero, and your business is the thing that helps them get there. So I'm like, okay, so stop thinking that like your business is something special. No, your business is just a vehicle to help your customer be special. So, and here's what I've noticed about business, because now that I'm like more aware of other people's businesses, because I'm trying to improve my own, so I'm just trying to take a little pieces from this, and I'm just trying to, and now understanding what funnels are is just being in their system of what they're trying to do. So as far as CARESNONE is concerned, I'm trying to figure out what is it that I'm trying to offer and who am I offering it to. Right, so like, who is my avatar, and a cool
target
little thing in this,
avatar.
the target audience. The cool thing in this book, he was like, literally do this. I know it sounds stupid, but do this. Sit down, figure out the exact person that you want to sell to, like one specific person. Think about it. Single mom, who makes this, and then literally go online and take a random picture of a face, put it on your wall with those things, and then that's how you market to that person. And man and woman. And so all of your marketing decisions should and that makes marketing easy, because then you're always thinking about, let's say, John. Hey, John, so how are we going to make this ad or this copy hit for John?
Right.
What is it going to take? And I would imagine you probably want to get the person who's closest to you, right? A lot of people say that sometimes the best way to market is to market to yourself. I've heard that a few times, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah. So what would be the things that would make me click on something? What would be the things that make me purchase something? What would so, and I learned from. I'm like, bro, I'm learning a lot. First of all, from reading, but from this book. So I personally, so far, suggest anybody trying to get their game together. .com Secrets. He's actually got a little series of books. And I'm obviously listening to all three, but strongly suggest. Have you read any of those kind of? I know you don't like to read, but.
I don't know if I said I didn't like to read. It's just that I don't. But I guess those go hand in hand.
Do you take advantage of any digital like sales funnels type of?
Nah, I'm pretty like. No, I'm not. So I couldn't speak on this whole lot. Like obviously I know of him, and he's done a great job with his business. And I know it helps tons of other people be successful with.
Yeah, because I know you're a little weird about people showcasing their energy.
Well,
not energy. Their expertise.
By selling courses and stuff. Russell, he promotes ClickFunnels as a site. That's what makes him the real money.
Yeah, for sure.
He doesn't like.
Absolutely.
So again, and he did. You know, he runs the biggest funnel website, and so to me, it's like the peak of person. And so I because I have hated on like paying for education or like learning and stuff like that. You got to be very selective, right? Like if you wanted to learn fucking funnels, he's the guy to learn from. So honestly, he gets the biggest pass for me as far as like selling an education thing. But that's the other thing is like for him too. He is definitely just doing it, not out of the kindness of his heart completely, but definitely more so. He does not need to be doing anything past running this website.
Well, so you know what he explains in the book, and it kind of makes sense, and I love the transparency.
I like to take on stuff.
I love the transparency that he says is like, look, here's what happens. You got your cold leads, your warm leads, and your hot leads from the people. So, and it makes sense. And I kind of knew this from advertising, brand. Like someone who's never seen CARESNONE before, that would be a cold lead. And then somebody, oh, I've seen that CARESNONE brand. What is that about? That's a warm lead. And somebody who's purchased before, that's a hot lead, right? So what he was saying is in the book, so the reason why he likes to do these books and stuff like that is now you're turning the cold leads into warm leads, and then eventually and he talks about percentages and numbers, like just say 1% of y'all, and I'm saying in my own words, but 1% of y'all might hit up my
that's $1
million course.
Yeah, that's literal numbers.
No.
So he, what I'm saying, and he's like, some of these people will. He actually said in the book, people listen to this right now. Some of y'all will pay me $1 million to be part of my.
Yeah.
So I get, and now I'm starting to realize that about a lot of these books I read. So they'll give you a lot of the game, but then they also offer in the book. But by the way, you can come to me and we can do this all for you, But then they give you the game so you can do it yourself. But what do we know about these courses anyway, right? Motherfuckers don't do it.
Right. That's.
I'll be honest. I don't even. So I bought a few courses here and there, and I'm like in ebooks. I haven't finished them.
Right, but people still gonna buy them, and you're just gonna trickle in.
Do you think it's like motivation porn?
It is, and that's cool. Sometimes you need a motivation porn. I like that. I like that a lot.
You ever get stuck on motivation porn?
I try not to.
I used to. I mean, I feel like I had a point in my life where Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, all these people.
So you dived in.
Yeah. And
did you get some game from him? Like you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like both ways about it. Like I feel like it was a good thing, but at the same time, I felt like I'd spend tons of time watching this and be like, oh shit, I'm ready to go, but I'm gonna sleep, and then tomorrow's the move, and then like it wouldn't end up happening, and or like again, certain people. They had like other motives that I didn't feel quite right with, or it was just like frank up like a straight like a personality thing. Like Gary Vaynerchuk's just like a lot to consume. His whole point about like you can go to a garage sale and start making some money and stuff like that. I believe in that. That makes sense, and like more people should be doing that. I like support all that, but him showing that is like I don't know, only worth so much. There's always golden nuggets from these people. Like there are definitely things I've taken away from I guess that phase of my life, but. I don't spend a whole lot of time on it now because honestly, maybe it's just because I like ate that meal too many times and I'm sick of it. But it feels always a little like hoorah, and it's just like I don't know.
Yeah, I've noticed that with myself a lot, especially because I'm in my car a lot. So obviously, I'm not gonna, I'll do a little bit of sports. I gotta listen to my Shannon, Skip and Shannon. Yeah, Skip. I love listening. Skip, come on now, Skip. Come on now, Skip. So I definitely listen to some of that, and then I got some podcasts. But if I'm going to be listening to something, I want to say at least 70% of it, I need to be getting some kind of game.
Yeah.
But then I've also realized that sometimes you get like game overload. So it's I'm like, I need to almost get away from it and then implement the shit. The problem is you can get all the game in the world, but if you're not implementing shit, that's why I told you, I want to get a tattoo right here that says do it now. Because how many times, like you said, hey, my bad for interrupting the podcast, but I gotta throw a little bit of love to CARESNONE.com. You can go in there and get links to the social medias. You got your Instagrams, you got your TikToks, you got your YouTubes, you got all kind of stuff on there. You got links to the wing review. You got links to the audio and video version of the podcast. All kind of stuff on there. And most importantly to me, which is very important to me, is you get your merchandise on there. You can get you a B-Dope shirt just like this. Join the movement. There's a lot of people joining this movement right now. You should be a part of it. And I would really appreciate if you'd be a part of it. This serves as a daily reminder to be the best version of yourself and not give a damn about what these other people think about what it is you want to do to be the best version of yourself. And for the people watching this right now, use promo code PODCAST and you'll get 20% off your order right now. Right now. For all the people who are watching the podcast, you get 20% off right now. Promo code PODCAST. Thank you. See you next time. Now back to the podcast. He's like, okay, I have all these angles that I can hit, but it's almost like too many angles.
Yeah.
Like which one do I go? It's like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And they probably all work, but it's like you gotta just pick
I
one.
think that's where we are in our shit. It's like, man, we've been angling up.
So
we've been
many angles.
and that's cool.
Right.
I think we're at the phase now where we just need to hone in. Fuck the angles. Like we know what we can. No. Excuse me. Not fuck the angles. Have the angles be saved for later. Like we see where we can go. It's like a branch. You know what I mean? So I think we're at the time right now where we can just focus in on something. Like you said earlier, just focus in, hone in. We're gonna do a new clothing brand. I'm gonna do it with the metaverse. And we just gonna lock in on that shit and just let the branches fall where they may.
So you say maybe we almost in the beginning we had to kind of dip our toe in all the pools.
Yeah, I think we had to figure it out.
Which temperature felt right for us.
Absolutely. That's why even when I was going through the separation, I speak for myself. When I still have the Pretty Cool Metaverse, the Pretty Cool versus my parent company. That's the official name for the business. But in that, I have the branches. I have the Pretty Cool Storytellers, Pretty Cool Bonobos, Pretty Cool Poses, and so on and so forth. So for that was me branching, figuring out which one am I gonna matriculate into firstly. And then when I actually got with somebody, a consultant, he was like, hey, you need to go ahead with this one. This is the one. And so I'm like, okay, let me X-nay this shit and just kind of put these to the side and then focus on this one because this is gonna bring me the most value, most money, most value to other people, and I can spread this even better. So yeah, I think we just at that phase. I think he's at a phase that's like even a little more like further.
Well, and how long you been in business, Tom?
This will be like this company like 4.5, 5 years.
Okay.
Coming up on 5 years, actually.
Right. So you've already learned, you've got your bumps and bruises you've learned and that kind of thing. And you'll learn more, obviously, because you're still in it. But
yeah.
I like the motivation porn. That was cool.
Motivation.
No, it's man, I feel like I get that a lot, especially because now, especially like a TikTok algorithm, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you.
It's all like motivational, like, get your ass up, or it's a lot for me, spiritual stuff, because I get kind of with the energy thing.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of that kind of stuff, which I love.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful with that, because you're like, okay, I'm just getting all this like porn.
How is that for you? Like, how do you, when you say it's a lot and you got to be careful, how does that?
What I mean a lot is because it feels good. It feels good for me to hear that shit, because it's like almost, it's like, you know what it's like? Let's say you're walking through a grass, and then you make a track, and then it's not really a trail yet, but then the more you walk through that, it's more of a trail. So I feel like it feels like every time I hear these things, like I've heard them all before. It's like I'm not really hearing anything necessarily new from the motivational porn, but that's how I know it's starting to feel like porn as far as the motivational stuff, because I'm like, okay, I've heard this, and I know this. This is the game that I be spitting. But then I also battle with, sometimes you got to keep hearing that shit to make sure. Because I just tried to edit some shit on Adobe the other day, and I was like, whoa, because I hadn't done it because my guy had been doing it, and I'm like, they changed everything up. So you got to almost sometimes you have to keep doing the shit so you don't like lose it. Like you lose it if you don't use it. How's that go?
If you don't use it, you lose it.
If you don't use it, you lose it. No, but so I'm realizing, okay, so I do like some of that porn.
Yeah.
But I also need to, screw the porn, let's get some strategic strategy.
Implementation.
Let's do it now.
Implementation.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why, and I keep talking. I need to get this. It'll probably be an $8 tattoo. Literally right here is very simple. Do it now. Because I know a lot of times, you know, it's almost like analysis paralysis. You know, you know. I feel like I'm getting that shit all the time. It's like, okay, stop doing it.
Is that a certain stage you think in business growth?
Getting in like analysis paralysis.
Yeah, from like that transition to.
Now, is that business growth or just as a human? As a person?
I was speaking from more so like, okay, you need the motivational porn, right? First, I feel like this is, if it makes sense to me in my head, it's like a stage. You have the motivational times where you're like, okay, you got to do this, the Gary V times, if you will. And then you transition into maybe, okay, now I need to implement. You've gotten all the game you can get. Now I need to implement. Is there like a transitional stage where that happens, or you know what I mean?
I didn't really feel that way ever. Like I think I just I think I had gotten somewhat deep to the point where it was just like I started to notice it was kind of like counterintuitive, and maybe in the same sense of like you're sitting there watching like, all right, I'm motivated, but I'm not doing shit. And then a little bit of time would pass, and you need a little bit more of like this random middle-aged guy or late-aged guy yelling at you through the phone and like making success seem so simple and easy. You feel like an idiot. And you're like, oh my God, the next 15-second video or the reel might totally shift my perspective on things in my current situation. Right. And it just doesn't.
No, it's definitely more gradual.
And so analysis paralysis, I think, is completely real.
And I learned that in that damn .com book. He was saying you need to make people's choices simple. Like your call to action should be like one call to action per landing page. And it makes sense. Like, so if you have too many, like for instance, I used to work at the Cheesecake Factory, and almost everyone's like, this menu's too ridiculous. Yeah. But then when you go to like Chipotle, bop, 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 everyone, you know what I'm saying? And it works. And you're starting to see that that's like the new game plan is, this is what we do, small cheval. We do burgers and shakes, that's it. We don't do the onion rings and fries.
All that shit.
And it seems like, and people like that because it's simple. They don't want to make decisions, you know what I'm saying? What's it called, decision fatigue? As a matter of fact, I think Jeff Bezos literally said, all he wants to do, and this is Bezos, you know he's killing it. He goes, I only want to make 3 powerful decisions a day. He sets his life up to only make 3 big decisions a day. So that's why, and we talked about this, like, now I understand why people who really successful don't want to drive. Like, I'm not trying to drive. I'm not, because there's too much thinking that I got to do. And think, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather be working on something as opposed to, you know, am I going to be here on time? Am I what I got to park? What I got to do? So it's like, no, and that's time that you can take advantage of. So off another point, what I'm learning is I am jagging my time. And I feel like that's what well, not everyone, but a lot of people.
No, you're right. You're right.
People
that's the biggest struggle of all of life, I think.
Right.
Time.
And then are you wrong because you're a human being? Just, you know, like, are you fucking wrong?
Yeah, that's his biggest struggle. Like, bro, we're human.
Tavares actually brought this. So we talked about yesterday. This is kind of segue. Tavares was like, because I was like, man, you should try reading this book. You know, do this. You might get some game. He was like, I don't like that. He goes, he's like, I want you to read it and then you throw me some game. He's like, for my whole life, I never, because people have been trying to tell him to focus on certain things. He's like, why? I don't want to. And it kind of reminded me of you, and you was like, well, I don't want to work like physical. I don't want to go in. That's what you told me. Yeah. And it kind of reminded me of that. He goes, and he's accomplished some things in his life, and he's like, and all I've done is just live presently every day. I just do what I want to do, Now, I did tell him, I said, well, just because you don't label it as focus don't mean you weren't focusing on something. Right. Because I believe, and he's like, are you just saying that because that's what you've been taught and indoctrinated? I'm like, fair enough. But then I told him what we learned is it's all storytelling. So everything, and he said the only things that he wants to accomplish in his life for sure is to go to heaven, to no one to disrespect his mother, and to always make sure he can get his rent paid. That was like his 3 things in life, right? Okay. He said, right? So he said that, and I'm like, well, so the going to heaven thing, the only reason you feel that way is because of stories you've been told. Mm-hmm. Literally, there's a big Bible. It's probably the most vicious story of all time. You know what I'm saying? So, and he was like, yeah, good point. So at the core of all this shit is the story that you believe in. So the story that I believe in is that I feel, but it's personal experience too, D. I feel like anytime I've lasered focused my thoughts, my energy on something, I feel like I have felt better after that. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, losing weight. When I lasered focused on how to do it, and then stayed consistent on it, the more I laser focused, the more I got results, the better I feel today, the better my life has gotten.
Right.
Same thing with working out for him. I'm like, okay, so when people go into your gym, because he's a personal trainer,
Right.
when they come in every day and they laser focus on coming in there, don't miss a day, stay consistent, which is focus, they get results. But as soon as they stop going in there and they stop the focus, they stop the results, right? I mean, am I crazy in thinking that?
Right.
And so and me and him, and we weren't going back and forth, but it's like, no, I think focusing is, and I read a book called literally The Power of Focus, or, but I think that might be our superpower. Is compared to most other animals, we have the power to laser focus our attention and energy.
I was gonna say, as an anthropologist speaking here, I think that our biggest key is just the storytelling shit. But focus is because of that. We're able to focus our attention so much that we can actually like complete a story that's in our head. And I don't know if but we've mastered that shit to like beyond belief type of shit.
Right, with the whole idea that we can talk.
Yeah, with the whole idea that we can communicate it to another person so that it can actually come to life. Because we realize, at a certain point we have to realize, from an anthropological perspective, we have to realize that we can do stuff, but we can't do things as great unless we have somebody else involved.
Right.
Somebody else's expertise or somebody else's opinion or somebody else's, this and that. And it only comes through perfect communication.
People, and I'm gonna speak for myself, and we've talked about this a few times, but I want to talk about it again because
think about that secondly.
There's just no way you're gonna be able to accomplish, in my opinion, great things without other people.
Yeah.
So even with Tom, let's say he got all this shit together, without people coming in here to use it, it wouldn't mean anything.
There you go.
It's like you need, in order to do almost anything.
Absolutely. That's why I love that hey, shout out to my brand. My brand out there.
Hey, pretty.
No, but shout out to it really taught me honestly just studying people as my just making people my expertise culturally and biologically and all that shit. It just really helped me to understand we are a communal species. We're not even alone. We don't thrive when we're alone. And that goes for every single part of our, every aspect of our lives. So when you're conducting business, you need a person like Tom. And that, for people like us, when we were first starting out, the transition of understanding that you have to do something versus somebody else can do it, trust me, that's huge. But when you realize that from an animalistic perspective, that we can't do shit without other people,
it's even deeper.
It's deep. Right? It's deep. You can't do anything without anybody. I can't have a sip of water without somebody making this cup.
Right.
It's definitely water in there, guys.
Yeah, it's definitely all no other beverages.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean?
Delicious water.
The hat you make and everything. We can't do anything without anybody creating something. Or we can. We can, but it's just easier if we allow other people to help us.
Now, so here's what I'll say. What I've learned about that. So I didn't go to school for editing. I didn't go to school for production. I didn't go to school for any of this shit that I've dived into. So I just did the whole YouTube university or pay for a course here and there. And then when I did everything. And then I almost trusted my own vision more than someone else. I'd be like, I don't know if you trust my vision. So then when I got someone else involved, there is a transition you're gonna have to make to let it go and then trust that this. And so maybe you gotta do your vetting up front. Make sure that this is a person knows. Maybe that's why. Hopefully they got a portfolio or something. You see what they're doing. But you're gonna have to, and sometimes you got to coach them.
Yeah.
And that's what we're learning too a lot is, especially if you're going through Fiverr to get shit and it's overseas, you're gonna have to coach some of that.
Find your people. I think that's what it is.
And then you got to literally let it go and then trust that person. I'm telling you, we said this before. I'll say it again because it's important. The reason why this podcast to me now is much better than it was is because it's someone who understands this game.
Right.
And then, like he said before, podcasting wasn't necessarily his thing, but he understood based on the shit he already had that I can make this work.
An add-on.
Right. With the lighting and all this, and I'm sure there's different things that he knows about lighting clearly to make it pop more and all that kind of thing, that we didn't know.
Right.
And I don't think there's anything wrong. We had to learn. You transition, you transform. That's the whole brand's about. But there's just some things that I just would not have known because how much? Would you say you've mastered the art of production?
Ooh.
Video.
You put 10,000 hours in?
Nah. I mean,
definitely put fucking.
No, I don't know.
No?
I don't know how I would even I mean, I guess when you think of like 5 years, or I don't know how long that would even be, but like, there's.
Hey, Tom, can you do me a favor and could you Google how many years is 10,000 hours?
How many years is 10? Is that a year?
It's got to be.
I don't know how much 10,000 hours.
But so I mean, you have to be learning every day, 24 hours just learning.
Yeah, that is a year, a little over a year if you were to do it completely full time. So to really stretch it out
So
over
if
like
you did it
actual
full
working
time,
hours,
like every day, all day, 24 hours?
10,000 hours equals 1.14 years.
So 1 year.
According to Bing, which we
But that's
honestly we
straight.
can't trust.
So-
I don't know
Yeah,
how
that's
Bing
straight.
got open.
You know, putting.
I tried to use Google, but it's fucking.
So it makes sense to put like 10. So that's why I say a lot of times it's 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you want to really get, 30, 40 and shit like that.
I'll tell you this much. I know more about it than y'all bitches, okay?
Oh, hey,
That's
and
all,
honestly,
more than
that's
a lot of other people, and that's all that really matters. Like I think there's always stuff to learn. I'm not gonna like tap my horn on that.
Hey, so do you keep learning?
Of course.
Because I know you don't like motherfuckers trying to teach you shit.
How is
That's
that?
not okay.
I'm about to say, why you put that on his
I gotta talk my shit. I gotta talk my shit.
No. Honestly, I guess because it did just get brought up. YouTube University. Like I learned how to do this shit. One from doing. I think that's the biggest thing, and that's a good moral for this whole story here.
Yeah.
That like watch all these other people talk about do this shit. Just like get out there and actually do it, and like learn the mistake or learn from the mistakes. Do the achievements on your own. You'll feel better about things. Like yes, it helps to have some guided direction, but like motherfuckers, they did it one way. You will inevitably do it a different way.
You will.
And so like you don't even learn so much from these people.
Do you believe in masterminds and shit or no?
Again,
Would you pay to get into a room
It would have to be.
with Richard Brundle, whatever his name is? Would you get in that room? Would you pay
No,
10 grand?
he would definitely not be the person. No, and 10 grand, like again, whatever. In my opinion, like you have to be able to like act on certain stuff, and so I guess it would depend. Like first of all, I'd never pay 10 grand. To me, as of now, that is like a too big of a fee. Even if it was like 100 grand to be in the room with Warren Buffett for an hour, like fuck no. Like what is Warren going to tell me that's going to like drastically like oh my god? And I know that might seem crazy to you.
Well, so I have a different
It might,
perspective.
but
what about the networking part of it? Because now you're now associated with his network.
I don't know on that. Like I think if I paid $10,000 to get in a room with Warren Buffett, I don't think he'd be like, oh, let me introduce you to all my homies and like everyone else will help you out. Or like maybe if I took the picture, I could use it for some social media. Like maybe. I mean, I guess there's
You
a
could
little bit of
use that.
but
That'd
so
be huge.
but on that you're talking about you're branching into like network marketing at that point almost where it's like, bro, just work with me because I'll work with these other people and stuff like that. And again, I don't like that. I don't.
That's a different culture, I think. I think that's a
sleazy
different culture,
thing
and
to
he's
me.
coming from a different. Like you're coming from a more.
Learning from people is fine. Like again, I watch tons of YouTubers that do video production stuff. I learn from them. I watch their camera reviews. I watch how they do things. Like I'm happy to learn from people.
And you get good game from that too.
The second those people turn out some sort of course, it does make me think slightly less of them. I get it because again, it is such a smart financial move. You make one product, you sell it to a bunch of people. I get it. I am just not that consumer. I don't enjoy that industry.
Respectable.
I don't like poo-poo on people. I don't look down on you if you did do that. Like honestly, it makes sense to some degree. I think I'm just a
writing a
believer
book?
that like, what do you mean about writing a book?
Like, would you write all your skills in a book and sell it? Like an ebook? Like, are you against that for you?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't want to say like no, but like if I was to do anything, it would
I'm telling you right
definitely
now,
wouldn't be
I
a
would-
book, right? But
I would buy. I trust in your vision.
Thank you.
That I think I would buy a book that you
So-
say this is what
all
I
right,
learned.
just because this was like something that had crossed my mind, I had never thought about like.
Hey. My bad for interrupting the podcast, but I gotta throw a little bit of love to CARESNONE.com. You can go in there and get links to the social medias. You got your Instagrams, you got your TikToks, you got your YouTubes, you got all kind of stuff on there. You got links to the wing review. You got links to the audio and video version of the podcast. All kind of stuff on there. And most importantly to me, which is very important to me, is you get your merchandise on there. You can get you a B-Dope shirt just like this. Join the movement. There's a lot of people joining this movement right now. You should be a part of it. And I would really appreciate if you'd be a part of it. This serves as a daily reminder to be the best version of yourself and not give a damn about what these other people think about what it is that you want to do to be the best version of yourself. And for the people watching this right now, use promo code PODCAST and you'll get 20% off your order right now. Right now. For all the people who are watching the podcast, you get 20% off right now. Promo code PODCAST. Thank you. See you next time. Now back to the podcast.
instructing people on how to do video or anything like that in my life, but I have thought somewhat recently about like potentially hosting like a how to podcast or podcast studio thing in this space to, you know, help drive some revenue and some new interest and stuff like that. That is the closest I've gotten, and I still don't feel like adequately positioned to handle that, or like at an interest level that I can totally get past that.
What about somebody who believes in you and they want your knowledge? Would you accept their money? I
am actually pretty good about just doing shit like that for free. So like I had somebody, I just not too long ago, maybe in the time since our last session, had a client that came to the studio. He's like, I just want a cool setup at my house. Like, give me a cool mic and get me, you know, fix my lighting, buy a light, and do some stuff like that. And I did it at his house. I set him up a nice little thing. I did get paid for that because I knew, one, he was like good for it, and two, was like, I'm going to your house, and I bought shit on his behalf, like, you know, off Amazon to like do it. But I've had people ask about like, you know, best, you know, practices on stuff like this, or like, oh, I just want to improve the setup at my house, or like simple podcast stuff. Like, I'm happy to just like, here you go. Like,
so like, would you ever throw that online and then use that content just to get it out there? Because my bet is if you put that content out there that you know what you're doing, then people will be.
Go look at Innova Digital on YouTube. I have 2 videos. One, how I built this place down to the specific detail.
Yeah, that was dope, by the way.
And then I just did another video going through like literally how much I'm making, what I'm doing for advertising. Like, here's the fucking, here's everything. Yeah, here's the gym. And it's been nice, actually. I've had a couple people be like, yo, this has been super helpful. Thank you. I'm starting one in Sweden. I'm starting one in Germany.
That's your knowledge.
That's great. And I could have, you know, like, could I, if I'm smart, and like, again, I don't even want to like completely throw it out there that like I would never. But as of now, like, I'm happy to just, you know, like, I don't want to sell a course.
Do you think, how do I just say how I want to say it? The American consumerism type of way of going about things is oversaturated, and that's kind of the play that you're trying to go against with that. But sometimes you just want
like
to put the knowledge out,
and you don't have to sell it,
like right? Is that where you're coming from?
I don't know. It
seems like that's kind of your pushback with, which is fine, because I know we're into like the business and stuff like that. But it seems like the consumerism of it is oversaturated, and it can get overwhelming when you're trying to just learn and put knowledge out there in this information age.
And I guess I want to just do there's a stark comparison between, like, there are so many people that make courses on how to do video. And there are plenty of people that like sold one $10,000 project, and they're like did their course like how to sell $10,000 projects and make 6 figures a year. It's like, bitch, you probably haven't even done that yet. Russell Brunson doing a thing on that, like, that makes sense. Grant Cardone talking about real estate, it fucking makes sense. Like, I don't dislike that fundamentally. I think there are so many people that like did just enough that they are like viewed as like, oh, maybe this guy knows something, and then just like dive deep into the education side. If your educational, whatever you sell education wise outperforms what you do that you're fucking teaching, that's when I have a problem. Like, if I ran a video company and the video company did $200,000 a year, but I taught other videographers how to make or how to do it, and I made $400,000 a year that way. Right. That to me fundamentally just doesn't make sense, and it upsets me. But like, if it was like I do $1 million a year, I got 6 kids that I teach every year, and I, you know, charge them this much, and I make, you know, like 5% of my income off that. Like, I respect that more for whatever reason.
So it seems like the digital side probably affects you, because the amount of people you can reach, honestly, digitally is just insurmountable. So I think it seems more hands off, and that probably does that bother you?
Again, it's like whether
because 6 people versus 100,000 people.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it's like a people count. I think it's like where the origin of it is from. So like if they're making more money, if their business is in the sale of the information, that's where I have a problem.
So let me ask you this, because this is something that I've dealt with.
We're all in the sale of information. Okay, I get that.
So here's my thing. I had a problem, like, so I would call myself an expert in losing weight because I have the receipts that I know how to lose 175 plus pounds. I've done it. I'm currently doing a big again. I know what to do. I put the time in, I studied how to do it, and I know it fundamentally how to do it.
And you've done it.
So I've done it, right?
Right.
And then I had a hard time thinking, well, I mean, we talked about this, like, but I'm not where I want to be. So can I charge for that? Like, do I know enough to charge for this when I'm still working on it? And then I saw a TikTok But it made sense. He goes, a lot of people, he said, whoever the fuck this guy is, a lot of people's problem is they think that you always have to get from someone from point A to point Z. Sometimes people are having a hard time getting to point B, and that's where you are. So just help them get to point B.
Yeah.
So what I'm learning about like selling products to people is the cost is never the issue. The issue is the person willing to pay for the thing that you're providing. Because I'm telling you right now,
right, they'll pay anything for it, but are they willing?
If I said this pain pill is $10,000, would you buy it? You'd be like, absolutely not. But if it was the only pain pill in the next, you couldn't get one for 10 weeks, and you're in a stranded island and you got a toothache, you'll probably do some crazy shit for that pill because for you at that moment it's worth paying $10,000. And I've had toothache. That shit is hideous. I think to me toothache's like the worst pain you can have. I'm like, ooh, yeah, that shit hurts. So my point is like, so the cost don't even really matter. It's just, can you get someone from point A to point B? And that's all business is you just solving people's pain points. So then, and going back to, don't be the brand isn't the hero, the company isn't the hero, the person's the hero, you're just a vehicle to help them get there. So now I'm starting to understand it's really about helping the customer, 1,000%. Those are the businesses that typically do the best, because they're the ones that are really helping motherfuckers. So like they say, a lot of the best salesmen aren't the people who just like, come buy this car. The best salesman is the one who gets you the right car, not any car. Like, okay, no, you have a family of 5, you probably shouldn't get a Mustang. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or you probably should get this, SUV or whatever, So I'm starting to learn, but I think it's okay. And personally, I'm now okay with charging what I offer because, one, I believe in it and I think it could help you. And if you really want to get deep, we talk about this every goddamn week. Shout out to Tavares for giving me this energy. This kind of dope. It's a lightning bolt. It's kind of cool. But just amount of energy. So I put a lot of energy into learning how to lose weight. Physically with running and physically with learning what to do and what the macros are and what a BMI is and the BMR is and all this and learning it and to it fundamentally understanding it. That took energy and years now, right? And sustaining it off. A lot of people lose weight and then they gain it all back, and I have not. So I think that's okay for someone to pay you for that. Just like I think it's okay for someone to pay you for this because look at all the shit that you invested into it. Yeah. And I'm sure there's probably, and not to down you, but I'm sure if there's probably some other podcast studio that's probably vicious. So, but I think it's okay to pay you for what you offer if I deem it valuable.
100%. No, and I agree with that wholeheartedly because I guess at some point, it's like you're paying me because I know how to do podcasting stuff better than you. Like I'm not claiming to know the most on it, but I'm acquiring money in this way opposed to again, I don't even know exactly where the line is in my head where it's like, because, with my video company, it's like, I know how to do this shit, so people pay me to do it. They're paying me for my knowledge and actual process. That seems totally clean and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But again, the second I put together some ebook on how to do this shit, and how,
feel a little weird
for some reason, I don't know what it is. And we've talked about this numerous times. Yeah. And I've become such a hater for it. So I don't know what it is. It's not about being an expert that bothers me. Getting paid for that. Do it. It makes sense. Right. But I don't know. Something
it's
about
just the information age is kind of. I think it's interesting to sell information. Yeah, I think that's just kind of fucking you up.
Or if it's just that's all that they do. I think that's really it. If that's all that they do, it's like
all you do is sell information.
If you can't teach type thing, that's what I think of. Okay, I think it's a School of Rock reference. You can't do it, and who knows? I think that's from the movie, but it's probably from an actual quote. But yeah, if you can't teach, again, I think in the video business and plenty of other businesses, I'm sure it's the guys that are I'll teach you how to trade crypto and shit like that, and sell so much more in the course than actually gain money in the market.
I'm not mad at you for that, actually.
I'm telling you, that's a thing,
I'm not mad at you for that.
And I think as far as the people that do sell content for, whatever, I'm going to say the vast majority of them are in the education first business and not actually the doers. So in your opinion, that bothers me. And again, it's
because it's the information age, so it's all about education. Everybody's a teacher at this point.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Well, my thing is you have. So here's what I'm thinking. The reason why I think I'm leaning towards paying for information is because you can go on YouTube, but then you have to. Listen, I love YouTube University. Yeah, I literally used it yesterday, but you gotta it's not categorized. It's not a smooth transition. You have to pick pinpoint.
Yeah, you have to
You know what I'm
really
saying? Whereas someone
pick
who's
your
already
electives.
done it, he goes, I'm telling you, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and then it didn't learn this in this order. This is the order that I did, and I'm successful. So you got to prove if you're successful or not. Because if they're bullshitting and lying about what they're about, then which we've learned recently. But if they like, nah, dude, I got the receipts. I know what I'm doing. I own this business, and you believe that it's dope. It looks like it's dope. Cool. This is what I did to do it. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and if people want to pay it, like I don't have that much of a problem. with it, man. Like,
Oh, it's just conversation.
Well,
I know,
that's a good segue because I know we're coming up on time now. But
no, keep going.
Yeah, but I said we good.
but I wanted to get into this.
What's up?
Well, first of all, did y'all hear about this shooting today?
Yeah, the kids, the babies.
That's so sad, bro.
Yeah, it's going wild
This shit
right now.
just last week, wasn't it? Like 2-3 weeks in Buffalo.
Yeah, motherfuckers is
You know what's funny? Where I heard that shit was from LeBron.
Oh, you did?
I was sitting there and I saw LeBron, like, I fuck with LeBron, like, oh shit, he's pissed off about it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to get too deep because the energy's low on that, but shout out to all those families that. Shout out's probably the wrong word.
Yeah, but I hear you.
Condolences. But that's
That Second Amendment is a motherfucker. That's what I gotta say. We put the first one in there, the right to say what the fuck you want to say, and then we put the second one in there, the right to say I got a gun and I can do whatever the fuck I want with it. And that started our country. So just think about that, and then I'll digress.
I heard some joke when somebody was like, the First Amendment was you can say whatever the fuck you want. So logically, the Second Amendment should be, yeah, but don't get too fucking crazy because I got a gun. I'll shoot your ass. You can't say too motherfucking much.
That's a good way to put it.
I think what's just like so tough about all these is that they just like are rooted in just like pure evil in the sense that like, it wasn't like beef between two people or anything like that, or like this guy got fired from the job and all the office people picked at him and he went in. It's just like
that. Not
kids,
that it's cool, but that makes
like
more
kids
sense.
that this guy probably had no real affiliation with at all. And in Buffalo,
young.
that was like just a pure
They're always
hate
young.
crime.
They're always 18 fucking years old, don't know shit, just it's crazy.
No,
And not to
yeah,
talk
and
about the
that's-
racism thing, because that's not what this is about. But Charlemagne the God was like, a lot of us, and I kind of was thinking this too, like, man, we need some of these older cats to die off, the ones that are kind of preaching all this bullshit about the
always.
hatred. But it seems that these cats, the dude who did the Buffalo thing was 18 years old.
Yeah.
He ain't wasn't close to dying. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it seems, listen, and I like to be optimistic. I like to be, ridiculously optimistic. But it seems like, can we solve a racist problem? Like, will it ever go away?
Well, we are very, very young in this country, and that's what I wanted to say. That's why I brought up the First and the Second Amendment, because we are still everything is built on the scripture that we write. It's all about the story that we want to write that's going to create the story for the next 100 to 250 years or so since we've been in existence as a country. Because we have those laws and shit, that's going to happen. I don't give a fuck what anybody says, what we're going to say about this. That's going to happen because that's what we stand on firstly and secondly. We got the right to say what the fuck we want to say, and I'll shoot your ass if you tell me I can't say shit about it. Which means that anybody gonna have a gun, and this is in Texas, as we know that this happened. Yeah. So the gun laws and all that stuff. But I digress on that more so. But I will say First and Second Amendment is very important in this country, and we gotta do something about that shit.
Yeah, maybe that we've saved that one.
Yeah, I know.
That's a powerful talk. But I do want to get into this as far as let's lighten up.
Yeah, let's lighten it up. Let's lighten it up.
Because that was a really fucked up thing.
Yeah.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable. It was brought to my attention that there's a few people that didn't want to associate with CARESNONE because of some of the jokes that I've made, and some of the very strong opinions that I have. And then the first thought that came to my mind was, that's perfect, because the whole brand is about fuck what they think. You know what I'm saying? And listen, anybody who knows me, if you watch this podcast, if you talk to me, my energy is not fuck everyone. But if I believe I'm living in what I believe is a righteous way, I believe I tend to give a fuck about doing things correctly and rightly and doing it right. It's gotten to the point now where, because I believe in this whole energy thing so deep, like if I drop a piece of plastic on the floor, like I have to go get it no matter how far it goes. Like that's how fucking crazy I am about this energy thing, because like I believe that that's fucking wrong for some reason, littering. So I cannot let that happen. I have to go. It'll be a string and I have to get it. That's where I'm at. We're trying to do the right thing, trying. So anybody who knows that about me, and you can feel that energy. I feel like anybody who really fucks with me knows that I'm trying to do the right thing. But they didn't like and I'll make a fucked up joke. I've done it and I will do it. And I'm like, you know what? What's funny? Because they were like, well, maybe you should be a little bit more cautious now because you have a business, because that, obviously that took away from a couple sales, right? And then, for a split second, naturally, because you do need the financial energy to keep your business afloat, right? That's the pain point right now as an up and coming, as all small businesses, right. You're getting the financial energy. But I refuse to change the core principle of what the brand is based on a couple people who didn't, when there's so many other people who do.
Bro, and I'm also going to say nobody's going to, like, I was about to buy the shirt and then he made some homosexual joke or something like that. And fuck, I'm not going to buy a shirt now. God damn it. Like, I don't know if I believe that, but. Yeah.
Right. So, and I was just like, I'm just not going to do that. And then I told this person, I said, well, guess what? And they said they heard this recently. I said, well, you know what's funny? Ironically, recently, the sales have gone up since I've been more authentic. And going back to that .com book, there was a point in it where he was like, and it was very, because it was right as I heard this, we had this talk. So I'm like, that's crazy. I just heard about this in this book. The synchronicity shit is crazy. And he was saying that it's easy to be kind of in the middle and gray and not to really step on no one's toes as far as but it's boring. Being polarizing actually is a lot more times, more often than not, better for your business. But here's what happens. When you make a clear line in the sand about haters, right? So then you're going to get those haters. But then the people who were okay, if they fuck with that point, now you've created an actual fan. Yeah. You can't get everybody. And that was like, so like, and being polarizing is like with Nike, they make some pretty strong, some people don't like the Kaepernick shit. You know what I'm saying? But they were like, this is what we're riding with. It is what it is. And yes, you will lose some, but you will gain others. Yeah. Like, not to necessarily bring out Tavares, but we had talked about on the first time he was on the episode, and he was smoking weed. I was like, light up. And he was like, oh, you think we should be smoking weed on the camera? I'm like, yeah, why not? And he was like, well, because some people might not want to, work with me because of the weed. I'm like, okay, and that might be true, but then you'll get some people who will work with you because you smoke weed. Right, like, they smoke weed too. Now I go. So, and I believe being authentic. How do you say it? Authentic. Excuse me. Being authentic and being willing to not get. That's where the CARESNONE comes in, because I believe this based on my life and where I've gone. The more I have just been myself, for better or for worse, the more people kind of relate to that shit. So when I tell all these kind of sometimes embarrassing stories, I told you about how I literally jacked my taxes off, like a very in my 30s, didn't give a fuck about it, just completely, just ridiculous. Like, what kind of grown man, you know what I'm saying? These are the thoughts. Remember, I told you I was scared to go to your mom at first because I think she's gonna judge me, right? Mm-hmm. And
she's gonna turn you into the IRS.
That's what I'm thinking, right? So what I'm learning is, but those are the stories. Going back to storytelling that people relate to, especially in the social media age, where it's by design, it's made to be the highlight reel. That's by design, that's what social media is, right? Yeah. So I'm like, no, if you can, what I've learned, and I feel like my sales have gone up the more I'm telling the real story about what I'm going through, especially with this transformation concept, let it go. Because one, it takes courage to talk about your bullshit, because ain't nobody doing it, right? So one is just, and then you learn the power of how to tell the story, and then two, you might hit someone that's like, damn, I had that same issue, especially with me and the weight issue. I know a lot of people fuck with that. Right, like, damn, right. If he could do it, I can do it. So maybe I'm in a different field because I'm in here trying to inspire and motivate motherfuckers. But that, I feel like definitely in that game, being authentic and real, I'm telling you, and some people won't like it. So like, even let's talk about dealing with women, right? I'm very, very strong in my opinions and how I act, and I'm a little bit more masculine. I'm a little bit more old school. I'm a little bit more gender roles kind of person. That's just how I am, and that's not necessarily a easy thing to say nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Because the women kind of run in America right now, and on the Planet Show, they work hard and they fucking united together. They're actually dope as far as that's concerned. But I'm gonna stay with the fuck I want to say, and because I do it with this feeling of I'm gonna do the right thing, right? So what I'm learning is, the more I just fucking own that shit, some won't like it, but the ones that do like it will fucking love it.
Right. It won't be a like, there'll be a love for it.
So it's like you turn, and especially in business, it's like, oh, okay, so sometimes you gotta You know, like for instance, I got to be willing to take an L. Like somebody say, well, man, that hoodie's a little bit too expensive for me. Then it's just not the hoodie for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I really think I'm at that point. And in the very beginning, that was really hard because they're showing interest in your brand and they want to throw some energy behind it, but it's too expensive for them.
Right.
But it's like, you know.
I hear you.
But I had to teach
I
myself.
had a recent situation actually like
ahead.
that with my modeling. So I had a lady hit me up and she wanted to book me for a modeling gig, but she was trying to book me for lower than what I would be paid normally.
Like typically.
Yeah, typically. And she tried to up it about a couple extra dollars, but it still was even lower than what I get paid. And I'm like, lady, like I didn't accept the job. And I was like, look.
Just the other day?
No, this was a couple weeks ago,
Okay.
maybe a month ago or so. But I was just like, I can't accept that because like
It was way too low.
it wasn't even way too low. It was only a couple dollars too short, but it was something that I had never been paid lower. I had never been paid lower than that before, and I'm like, I can't start that with you because I'll give it to somebody else, or I just can't start that. I'm not gonna devalue my time and my art. And it was a misunderstanding. It was more so on a play of she had some other shit that she had told her artist that was gonna be charged, how much it was gonna cost. But for me, I'm the model.
That's
I don't
a
got
you
shit.
problem.
Yeah, that's the thing with you. Like, if that's the
I
case,
don't
then
even
you
know why
just
you're
pay
wasting
extra
time.
Right.
for it or something like that. But that's not me. Like, I can't devalue my brand and myself, especially my body.
There you go.
You know what I mean? This is my
Like,
body at this
physically,
point.
it's
This is
you. It's
physically
literally
my
you, right.
This is physically my body, so I can't devalue myself for that. So I had to go through something similar. And that, actually, let me.
Hey. My bad for interrupting the podcast, but I gotta throw a little bit of love to CARESNONE.com. You can go in there and get links to the social medias. You got your Instagrams, you got your TikToks, you got your YouTubes, you got all kind of stuff on there. You got links to the wing review. You got links to the audio and video version of the podcast. All kind of stuff on there. And most importantly to me, which is very important to me, is you get your merchandise on there. You can get you a B-Dope shirt just like this. Join the movement. There's a lot of people joining this movement right now. You should be a part of it. And I would really appreciate if you'd be a part of it. This serves as a daily reminder to be the best version of yourself and not give a damn about what these other people think about what it is you want to do to be the best version of yourself. And for the people watching this right now, use promo code PODCAST and you'll get 20% off your order right now. Right now. For all the people who are watching the podcast, you get 20% off right now. Promo code PODCAST. Thank you. See you next time. Now back to the podcast.
Show you. I got something. I want to show the peoples. Fat Al.
Hey.
I have I'm on display right now at the Paladin Chisel
Oh, that's what you was talking about.
Academy, of Fine Arts. I'm on display right now. I have a piece.
Is this R-rated here? Can we show
No,
this?
Nah, this is not R-rated.
Can you see it?
Yeah, that's good. That's good lighting.
This is not R-rated, but this is a piece of me that's I think this was a
Looking distinguished.
This was a 6-hour piece. It's on display at the Paladin Chisel Academy of Fine Arts. If you want to come check me out, I believe this one's selling for $850. So excuse me.
Well,
Shout out to my artist Shannon Joy Birch. Artist, you can find her at shannonbirch.com, shannonjoybirch.com as well. So,
And that is, I'm proud of you for doing that because I think,
Like saying no? Proud of what?
yeah, or just being like, I don't want to quite give the nod to G-Eazy, but he has a line in one of his songs that says, "My rate is non-negotiable. You either buy or walk," and I love it. And I kind of take that into my business sometimes, where like, rarely do I actually have people like, "Oh, we're used to doing this." Like, obviously, I have people that are like, "Oh, that's more than we wanted to do," so like, whatever.
Right.
And I've had some people like, "Oh, they'll like come up with some other rate," and I'm like, "Why did you even put this in the chat? Like, what were you thinking?"
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like, good luck finding somebody else, because I'm not gonna help. But
Absolutely.
sticking to your guns is good, because like I remember early on in this business.
Because you want the work.
Yeah, well, because there's always that little like, oh fuck, like it's better than zero. Like I'd rather be working than not. But I always was like, those clients are the shitty ones, and like again, at certain points, like I took jobs for like under money or free. Like I'm cool with that. Like it's
Like before
it's a
you
different
even
story.
knew? Did you have to learn what to really charge?
Yeah, of course.
Right, so yeah,
yeah.
that's
Or like, dude, I mean, what to like really charge? I mean, it's a made up number.
Yeah.
Like it
All
doesn't
this shit's
exist.
made
The
up
right
numbers.
number to charge, like it doesn't.
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
Not real.
To go back to that first initial point, sorry to interrupt, is that the price really don't matter.
It doesn't.
It's just, is that person willing to pay that price?
Every time.
Is there enough value in whatever it is you're offering that they're willing to pay whatever price you put on it? And if the market's saying, okay, motherfuckers ain't buying your shit, then either you haven't proved the value of it yet, or the price isn't, the market hasn't deemed that it's worth it. So you have to make your shit more valuable. So as far as the clothing brand is concerned, so I'm trying to brainstorm like, okay, so what could I do to make a CARESNONE product more valuable, right? So content, me putting my energy in and what I learn, and just in being a person, social proof. So when people take these pictures and shit, that shit is gold. And then me and Tavares kind of went back and forth. He didn't understand how important a digital asset is.
Yeah.
Because when somebody's like, these are human beings that have paid for some reason. So, and I'm actually going to do, what do you call it, mosaic art? Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
So I got
Mosaic
enough
piece,
now
that's
to make like a dope. I don't know what the main photo will be, but I feel like I can use that as an ad. I think that'd be dope, right?
That'd be good.
That'd be a dope ass ad.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do that.
And I think this would be cool. Maybe like a picture of, I don't know, whatever. Maybe the logo.
Yeah.
Find a way to do that. But anyways, but I'm like, dude, that digital asset is a motherfucker. To me, that's almost more important than the profit of a shirt. Now, and it's hard to understand. It's like, well, because that profit of the shirt isn't necessarily paying the bills. But I'm like, yeah, but it helps like get in the long term. It helps. The more photos I got, the more videos I got, the more I can do with those photos, and the more
assets. Those are assets. You can do a lot more with that.
Photos are huge.
Throughout. Yeah.
Well, I mean that, and like that's my business in the sense that like every project I do, I try to do well, obviously, because like you said, it shows other people like hey, look, I did this work for this company. Here it is. Like it's always like a little display of my own at some point. So it has a value, absolutely. Like
Huge value.
The jobs from before get me the jobs of today.
Right.
Like it's
right. And the way I think about it, even going further, because I'm stepping into the Web3 space, is that like these are going to be assets that you're going to be getting paid for. So you're not just going to be posting it to YouTube and shit. It's going to be you actually owning each digital asset that you have. So a photo, an image of somebody wearing your shit, that can be owned, or percentage of it can now go to them as well as you. Like that's the Web3 space that we can get into. So I love like the digital aspect of it, in that it can spread your shit to so many people, and they can also, you can set up shit to where they can own and you can own a part of that asset.
Right. And then there's another thing I'm learning is, and we'll cut it soon, something called CLV, customer lifetime value. And that's something I had to learn because, so for instance, let's say you're using Facebook ads, right? And it's costing you whatever. I don't know the numbers like that. I'm still learning this, but what I'm learning is it costs me this amount of person to get a customer acquisition. So then, and people just kind of stop at that. Like, oh, it's gonna cost me $20 to get a customer to buy a shirt. It's like, well, think about the long term. If you're doing your business correctly, it seems as though those people will come back. That's why you want to keep them in the funnel. You see what I'm saying? And then that's why you keep offering value. And then maybe you offer a different thing like the Russell did. So you do this, we'll buy this book for 20, and then, oh, okay, you like this, now you can buy this thing for 300, and now you can buy this thing for 10 grand, and you keep them in the funnel, and then over the lifetime of that customer, it's gonna be way more than that initial cost to get them in the first place. So it's like, that's why it's okay to, from what I'm learning, it's okay to spend money up front to get customers, even if it's not making as much as profit as you're getting it, because now they're in your system, they fuck with you. They've proven that they'll put energy into your brand, especially up and coming. Now, here's my question. Are people buying Nike because of the message, or they're buying Nike now because it's cool?
I think people have always bought it for different reasons, for sure. Messaging is definitely a culture, I would say. People do buy things for cultural purposes, too.
Do you ever buy like clothing for messages, or do you buy clothing because it looks cool?
I'm pretty bad about even buying clothing. Like my girlfriend forced me to like buy stuff maybe like a couple months ago.
No,
I usually
okay.
like my sister will get me shit for Christmas. Like I don't even talk about it with fashion. Like I'm gonna get rolled. Yeah, don't even bother.
I'll say I do more of I do it for a cultural purpose too. Right now I'm trying to transition. It's gonna be a little time, but I'm gonna transition into all organic clothing.
Yeah, I remember that was one of the first ideas you was working on.
I want to just, my whole closet, I just want to make it all.
Oh, you mean
clothing.
personally?
Yeah,
not the
I
brand
want
necessarily.
my whole, because I'm already a composter, a recycler. I do all this other, like, bike. I'm a biker type of shit. So I just want to include a lot of these things into my life.
You're definitely a green motherfucker.
Yeah, and that's what my metaverse is. My metaverse.
You don't get your green head.
Head ass. But my metaverse is going to be a meta sanctuary where Chicago is going to be a whole eco-friendly green city. But I hope I can remember to circle back. which I probably can't remember.
That's my fault.
I know. What was it?
Well, how about this?
Anyway,
Derek, tell them where they can find you.
they can find me in the.
Instead of me directing you back to your point, let's end the
Well,
show.
I feel like I know
Fuck
we're
it.
getting closer ties, so.
Find me. Actually, I have a newly renovated website. prettycoolstorytellers.com. I want everybody to check that out right now. I'm going into the metaverse with the Pretty Cool Bonobos, but that's being worked on. So we're gonna go Pretty Cool Storytellers, and I have a lot more coming for you all as well too. I'm really excited. Let me just plug a little bit more. I'm really excited these days, man, because I'm at a space where I'm very hands off with a lot of shit. The pain points that I've solved are that I have found experts to really lead me into shit that I know nothing about. I have ideas. For example, with the metaverse that I'm creating, I'm creating a sanctuary for Chicago. It's going to be a mix of conservation with bonobos and a eco-friendly city, meta sanctuary. Chicago is going to be a eco-friendly city, all greenery, everything, bike-only city, because I'm a biker. But in hiring people to do this, I just hired this guy from Upwork. I just use Upwork service, which is a competitor of Fiverr. They have a service where you can actually hire people, find people recruiters, and they'll find people for you. I just hired a service, and I'm paying about $10,000 through a 3-month period. But the amount, and I think he can work up to 20 hours a week for me. He just clocked in at about 14 hours last week, so I paid him like $500 something. But the amount of information that he knows, and the amount of time that he spends on my shit, and the amount of things that he's doing back and forth that I have no clue on is like changing my whole like equilibrium. And it's making me very calm in my business.
Yeah, because if you tried to do that, you wouldn't get nowhere near as far as he would.
I wouldn't at all.
Like we could sit here and make our own video about about me doing something with CARESNONE, but we'll get the guy who would know what to do to make it work.
Right.
So I get what you're saying.
And I'm just in a space right now where I'm really comfortable in having like multiple parts of my business being taken care of. I have a lot coming soon, but I'm just in a space right now where I'm just in a hustle bustle phase, and I just really want to be a hamster on the wheel going forth. But anyway, I digress. PrettyCoolStorytellers.com. Check it out. I have comic books, and I have some figurines coming with that as well too.
Tom, where can they find you at?
You can find us at chicagopodcast.studio as well as Nova Digital. Like I said, I give away all of my secrets on that page. If you ever about the podcast stuff, maybe I'll start doing free giveaways for my knowledge on video production, but
Yes,
not
will.
yet. And I haven't started that yet. But those are the two things I got going on.
You know what to do.
I don't
man.
have nearly as cool stuff as Derek.
I've heard that a good system is give game in the front end and then you charge on the back end. A lot of people try to charge on the front end, but then it's hard to get people to charge in the front end when they don't know what kind of game you're giving.
Right.
And I'm using my own personal
right.
experience. Like for instance, David Shan's The Social Proof Podcast. I watched that podcast for like 6 months, and I'm like, damn, I'm learning shit that I didn't know. And then finally, he had been offering this morning meetup thing every morning, 7 o'clock. You start off for $1, and then it's like $70 a month, and it's just like you get 500 people every morning on this Zoom call, entrepreneurs, and him giving game and bringing other people on, and it worked because he was giving me game, all these different episodes of the podcast, and then one day I said, you know what, I want to dive into it, and it worked, and I paid the money, and I did this shit for like a year, so
It's because the sales happen at this point in the funnel.
Right.
Basically,
So
that's what it is.
That's what he's saying. So his funnel is, and he had it. And he actually just changed this yesterday, but it was $1 to get into the funnel of the morning meetup. Which if you give a fuck at all, what's $1, right? You'll spend $1 to get into something. But then now he just recently said, I'm not doing that no more. It's like I'm worth it. It's either you come in or you're not. So you're willing to take the L. The art of the deal, right? The person who's willing to walk away is typically the one who wins the negotiation. And I kind of feel like that's kind of true in life. I'll take it. And I've used that in my life, and other people are like, well, no, wait. Like, now you doing it. So
That's happened to me plenty of times.
Of course.
right, that's what I'm saying.
Where people are like, I have this much to spend. I'm like, it's going to be this much. They're like, okay, that sounds all right. And it's like, all right, then why did you shut the fuck up?
I know. Tell me about it.
That's the same idea.
For real though.
You can find me at caresnone.com, but however, and I'm transparent, I'm going to be super transparent. The site is just not optimized. It's not, especially for e-commerce, it's not. I am currently in the process of making it optimized for e-commerce clothing. So when you go in there and it's going to be set up, I'm getting it right so it feels like you're buying. Because right now it's just kind of like, you know, and it was cool, like I said, at the time because I didn't have shit. But I'm going to get into optimized. But you can still go and help and purchase and support and all that. But you can also find me at CARESNONE, Chris at CARESNONE on all platforms.
Absolutely.
And
And
go
also
buy a
hit me
shirt.
up if you are in town, if you're in Chicago at all, Gold Coast, Paladin Chisel, Academy of Fine Arts. I am on display there. Check out the other art pieces too. Support the models that flow around the city and create good value for you. So yeah.
And as always, CARESNONE!
D. Eric Body